Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I'm at PAX with Chuck, or Only Use Me Face, and today we're going to talk to you about button remapping. Would you like to explain why button remapping is important and sometimes absolutely necessary?
Yeah, I'll explain what remapping is. Button remapping is an option in console games where you can go into the options menu and you can change around the button function. So if you want jump to be instead of X, you want it to be Y, or if you want shoot on a first-person shooter to be the left bumper instead of the right bumper, you can go into the menu and you can change that. Now, a lot of console games nowadays don't have this basic feature, and remapping is the ability to go in and do that. And why it's important is because disabled gamers, a lot of times we can't reach with the limited function that we have in our because of our disability. We can't reach certain buttons, so remapping allows us to go in, actually change the layouts a little bit to what can suit our needs, and then we can play video games.
Well, not only this, but as you were explaining earlier, a lot of other gamers would like this feature, and it didn't even click to me until I started talking to you. Button remapping is good for you because I'm sure a lot of you would like to change buttons on games to where they're similar from game to game, or if you just don't like the 3 or 4 little default loadouts that you could get, you could change it. And my example was, I believe I played Grand Theft Auto, I remember if it was San Andreas or Vice City on PlayStation, and then they ported it to Xbox with some bonus content, and I bought that. But for some reason, the Xbox controls had the sticks swapped, and the shoot button was B or Y, and the triggers were change guns, and it made no sense, and there was no remapping option, and it was brutal to play. So I just sold the game as screw that. I'm not going to play that game.
Yeah, and you can think about somebody like you who can't change it, and you get frustrated and you sell a game, and that's something that I have a petition going, and there'll be a link somewhere. But most of the people who sign the petition aren't disabled gamers. They're just gamers who say, hey, I want this. I want to be able to go from Halo to Call of Duty and make that transition without having to rethink and have to figure out a button layout. And that's something that really many people have commented on, that they want it because they want to be able to change the buttons when they switch from game to game.
Yeah, it's a very, very simple feature to add. A lot of PC games have it just because the nature of PC gamers, they pick stuff apart. A few don't. Console games, they don't have this. Developers are either lazy, which is not normally, they work pretty hard on their games. Some of them are completely ignorant of people's wants or demands for this, or needs in some cases. And there's also a concern that it could be unfair. People are a little bit worried, if they remap the buttons, then one person could get an ideal configuration that's better than all the other players. And I can kind of understand that, but then it's why wasn't this the ideal configuration to begin with? I don't know.
Yeah, it's been interesting as I've been going around to the booths at PAX, and I go around and I hand the developers a pamphlet outlining why remapping is needed by the disabled community, and also highlighting some of the benefits to their company for having it. And a lot of the developers are really blown away when they just never thought of it. And that's something that really makes me kind of just appreciate the developers who listen, and then you see it in their eyes and they're like, wow. And I was just talking to the Dead Island developer. He had just never thought of it. And just me talking to him about it, he said, wow. And I could tell by the way he was responding to my questions that I think it's something you're going to see in the Dead Island franchise in the future.
That'd be very neat.
Just awesome.
This is what I'd like to call the fish in the water fallacy. We talked about this a little bit before. The story goes, God created the heavens and the earth, religious or not. Just follow me for the allegory here. And the animals on the land and the sea, and he goes down, he asks the deer, how do you like the grass? It's great. How do you like the air bird? It's great. He goes and talks to the fish and says, fish, how do you like the water? And the fish looks around and is like, what the hell is water? And it's one of those things that the developers and even people like myself or you yourself, you get so involved in something, so worked into a community or a way of doing something that you don't realize all the other things going on around you. And this happened with the original Dead Rising game. The developers only tested their game on HD TVs, and big ones at that, and their text for the instructions was this big. So when people like my brother-in-law, they purchased the game, they had this tiny little ants fighting on the screen for instructions, and they had no clue what was going on. They had whole websites dedicated to just posting the text so that people could read it. And it's the same kind of thing with button remapping. You mentioned this to developers, and it's just little light bulbs going off, little epiphanies, this was a problem? I had no idea, because they're so into what they do, they don't see the bigger picture sometimes.
Yeah, and that's just something that the petition's been great for. It even helped get remapping added to Portal 2 when the developers, they release it, and then they hear about the petition, and they say, hey, we can add this in. And so some games add it in afterwards, but I've been talking to a lot of them now just about your next game. Just think about when you start building your games, add remapping at the foundation, especially as the next-gen consoles come out, because right now, all these developers out there on the PAX floor, they're building their next-gen console game. So I'm saying, please. And so this has been a great PAX for just seeing a lot of developers. And one thing I want to highlight, a story that happened last year. I came to PAX. I met this developer. I mentioned remapping game in a pamphlet. This time I came back, and his game has full remapping, and it just was so good to see. I was just so happy to see that just this information, people supporting the petition. I'm able to say nearly 100,000 people have signed it, and it really is affecting developers.
It's a big and important thing, and I did link the petition down there in the description of this video and some of your videos as well about the issues. And I'd appreciate it if you support this, if you sign the petition. I'm sure that you'll be benefiting a lot of people. What's going on? Sorry. PAX is very busy playing a lot of stuff going on here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I do hope that you check out Chuck's channel, and I hope that you check out the petition and sign it.
And I'd just like to say thanks everybody for taking the time to do that. Chuck out.
Drifter out.